The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM. The living room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is now 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the true nation station WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
First and foremost, let's kick this off as we always do, all right? Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we must say thank you to those that went before us, and we are not just talking about our original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, because we all know, reiterate, and they say it would be chest that Columbus lied, but also to our brother in music, Tony P, where the P this week stands for...
Pour me one.
What?
Pour me one.
I thought you was going to say dry pole.
No, I was actually thinking porn, ironically, but porn is a good thing. Well, what I kind of looking at is this is the second consecutive Olympics where we've come home medal-less.
Without medal.
No podium. So podium-less.
That's actually a very interesting way or interesting word to pick for today's program, right? But before we go any further into digesting or discussing that word, we must remind you that this is the living room with yours truly, DJ Aaron868. I remind you each and every time that culture is my code, alongside my bro with no fro, a lot of flow.
Ricardo Mitchell, what? Okay, cool. Just
do what you want. A very nice shirt today, I must admit.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I got it from my uncle. Big up, Larry. Houston, H-Town.
Oh, I was not going to say, I doubt we had the same Uncle Larry. Phew. I'm scared there, boy.
It's Trinidad, and it's very, very possible. It's still very possible. Wouldn't it be ironic? Oh.
Very. We'll discuss that off air because we don't want to give away any family ties.
We was nearly related, though, but that's not my story to tell. But anyway, go ahead, sir, as you will. You tell him about how nice my shirt was.
That was the end of the comment. Now you have me very scared to find out how we could have been related. But anyway, yeah. Right, and it feels good to be back. It really does feel good to be back. I don't think I'm fully back as yet. I'll be back on Fridays from next week, please God. But yeah, it feels good to be back.
Next week, you say?
Yeah, not this Friday.
Okay, all right. I know the amount of things you left behind when you went on your vacation.
But anyway, that's a whole other story right now. But yes, while I was on vacation, and I'll be transparent here, I went to St. Lucia. I was privy to a lot of the celebrations that took place when Julian Alfred won that gold medal. I was in the capital of Castries when it happened. And I think if you think Trinis could fet, hey, we have a lot of learning to do when it comes to that, right?
Yeah, I ain't touching that one.
No, like when I say fet, I mean, you know how we like to celebrate in terms of when Keyshawn won gold back in 2012, and I'm not too sure when we qualified for the World Cup back in 2005. Right? There was a fete, there was celebration. But what I saw on that humble Saturday, the 3rd of August, that was just beautiful.
I just curious. I find out where you went when you reached back, you know. Had you told me? Yeah, had you said that that's where you were going, or that even alluded to being there while you were there, I would have put you onto some people that people in St. Lucia too now.
Well, Kenny also put me onto some people, but because of the the brevity of the trip that I took, I was not able to make any linkages with any contacts. However, I would be looking to go back to St. Lucia at some point because it is a beautiful island. And if you are locked on the beautiful Isle of St. Lucia, a pleasant good evening to you.
And when you see Cocoa Butter voice too, apparently St. Lucia was good to you.
It was. But enough about St. Lucia. Let's move on to the Olympics as a whole.
Formula One?
There are certain things about the Olympics that we will not be discussing, but we will be discussing the performance of our athletes. Right? First and foremost, before we move on to certain parts of our athletes, if just saying, all you know is a mathsman, if you send 1,000 people to the Olympics, your chances are medaling higher than a country that's sending 20.
Fair.
Right?
Fair.
We putting that out there off the bat.
Yeah, that done there.
That done. Now, one thing, and you could help me with this, Cardo, I have a difficulty in understanding.
Full stop.
Why is it?
What?
Wow, comma.
Oh, noted.
I have a difficulty in understanding why is it that our athletes don't get to compete regularly at the top level. Because I while browsing X, formerly known as Twitter, this morning, I saw the schedule for the World Athletics Championships that's going to be coming up later on this year.
Yeah.
Right? And it's very few and far between sometimes that you see a Trinidadian athlete there. And I think to win at the top level, you need to compete constantly at the top level.
Right.
So my first question is, why is it that our athletes are not constantly competing at the top level?
It's a very simple question. Very simple answer. Money.
Right.
Money. That's simple. It costs to get athletes prepared and it costs to get them there.
Right. Now, I know the answers to these questions, but we go in here for the listeners, for everybody for us to go through the thought process with it. Now, if it costs money, I know sponsorship money is one thing, because there are some of these athletes that are sponsored by some local brands that probably produce cleaning products. I don't know if anybody saw that ad, which I find is whatever.
Whoa. I mean, whatever. Men all over the world selling cereal and clothes, and so am I not allowed an endorsement? He not allowed.
No, I appreciate the endorsement. I just don't like the quality of the ad.
I mean,
that personal preference.
Come on, man, don't go. All it does have a problem and nothing happening, and then all it have a problem and something happening. It had no pleasing all day, you know. Anyway,
it is not a boneless oxtail soup.
I listening. This is me listening. You go ahead.
Right? Anywho, right? So the athletes get local sponsorship from our ads, from our companies, corporate Trinidad. Sometimes these sponsorships.
I study and how you calling that? It's not sponsorship to have a ad and to be hired to promote.
No, that was say you're getting sponsorship from local companies, right? But admittedly, Trinidad and Tobago dollars compared to the currency that is needed to go to compete or train at the highest level is already at a disadvantage.
Right.
The government has things in place through the high performing athlete funds and all these different things. Again, at a disadvantage because of the conversion rate. How are we going to supplement that deficit of ability?
I mean, a deficit of ability.
The deficit of, because a financial ability, remember, that is a part of it, the financial ability.
Well,
how are we going to sort out that deficit?
Apparently, everybody just figured NGC had to sponsor everything all the time. I mean, big them up. All talks that aside, big up the NGC on being one of the more responsible and contributing corporate citizens that we have. Right? But let's be frank, Aaron. We have companies that declaring absurd amounts of money in quarterly and annual profits. And you very rarely hear them involved in certain levels of sponsorship. Some of them finance their own events and that type of thing. We don't know what other contributions that they might be making discreetly. But at the end of the day, we still very much have a culture, beg, borrow, and barbecue to finance our athletes. Right? We've seen athletes who are capable of performing on the highest levels still waiting in the airport to find out if money coming through, right? Still selling curry queue and Chinese queue and barbecue the weekend before they're supposed to travel, that type of thing. It's not like we in a sponsorship rich environment, so it's not our ability so much as it might be our will. It's at the end of the day. But let me put it this way. There are entities that were there to sponsor would be accepted. Case in point, right? There's a short stay hotel chain that has sprung up in Trinidad. Right? Let me call it 2 Trees. Right? Let me say as an athlete, right? You getting sponsored by 2 Trees. You're taking it? If 2 Trees sponsoring, the fastest man in the country, you're taking it? Right? Yeah, just saying. Right? Sometimes brands might not align.
And I'm gonna say that have a pun attached to it, huh?
They always do, Aaron. They always do.
2 Trees sponsoring the fastest man in the country.
I just say it. Right? I just say it. Right?
No, honestly, I catch where you're going with this because, and then too, the majority of businesses in Trinidad and Tobago, the average size business is not large scale. So the profit that they are going to turn is totally different to the profit that, and we could call a spade, a Republic Bank will turn. And the reason why I use that as an example is because they publish their financials in the newspapers.
And already sponsor their own events.
Exactly. Right? So I'm using that as an example.
If a hypothetical character, let me call him Bujunk, right? If Bujunk, right, from a village and he has fisher boat rentals, right? He has several pirogues and he rents them out to fishermen, etc. Because apparently fishing boat rentals makes a lot of money based on what we see, right? If Bujunk fishing boat rentals and engine repairs decide to sponsor, would it line up? Would it line up with a cyclist, a swimmer? People might start to ask questions as to the legitimacy of some of these potential sponsors. Right? So now we have an ethical issue, an ethical conundrum that might hinder the financial solution. It's not that there aren't businesses in Trinidad and Tobago that are not making money. It's would we want the money from there?
That's another valid point. Because admittedly, we had to say, and it's not just the finances in terms of sometimes registering to compete. The airfare and accommodation aspect of it as well is a huge burden.
Yeah.
Because to get from here to England is one thing, but then you had to get from England to wherever else. Then you had to reach to stay. Then you had to find facilities to train. So it's not just the competing, there's a huge attached financial responsibility to it as well. And not just that, to have a trainer here. Most of the top trainers for these athletes not live in Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
You think I want to train to play? I don't know, I'm just saying, because if breakdancing was the breakout sport of this past Olympics,
breaking
right? Imagine that person was sponsored by 2 Trees.
That's what we're talking about, right? That's what we're talking about. 2 Trees sponsoring. No, I don't even want to say it because it's sung in a kind of way.
Where this called a professional breakdancer?
A b-boy, or b-girl.
Okay, cool. Anyway,
Mhm.
right, but
And it's
gosh,
break.
sorry.
The event is called breaking and not breakdancing.
Oh, breaking. Okay, my
Yeah.
apologies.
So we'll say two. Yeah, we
Yeah,
are two
boy.
athletes, two breaking athletes sponsored by two trees. Right?
Wow,
You
this
know,
is not what I thought.
or Magnum. You know, was the next one that does
Rude boy.
Rude boy.
Rude boy. Yeah. No, but again, if you look at it, those are also very carefully strategic things you could do with a brand.
Long distance runner, right? You could imagine we have a man for the 5K sponsored by two trees going the distance. You know what I mean? Or maybe even a car rental company, right? Renting wetman for the swimmers, aquas, right? I just saying it have opportunities. You don't have to be the biggest out here to get in the game.
10% of every rental goes towards sponsoring our Olympic swimmers.
Yeah, rent a wetman.
Rent a wetman. That actually is pretty cool, though. That one is pretty cool.
I just saying that have opportunities.
No, but really and truly, guys, as disappointed as we may be with the medal haul, or the lack of placings or lack of podiums, and the disappointment that is surrounded to the fact that I think there was a campaign after the 2012 Olympics that we would have attained 10 medals by 2024, and since then we have attained, I think, 1 or 0.
No, so we halfway there.
But in terms of numbers,
The first half or the second half.
Anywho,
Yeah.
right? But the fact is, athletes need support. And I'm going on and pin this across all sporting platforms here in Trinidad and Tobago. Athletes need support. When a club, be it running, cycling, football, cricket, rents out, and I'm just saying the Brian Lara Cricket Academy for a game, they have to pay for that facility, right? Sponsors might help you, but you see ticket sales, that boosts income. So when it have an entry A's event in the National Stadium and 20 people go to attend, you think they're making any money from that? The sponsorship money is what paying prizes, is what paying appearance fees for the athletes.
Sponsors don't want to show empty stands.
But when we go out to the stadium or the stadia and fill the seats, and we pay, sometimes it's $20 to go in, or $20 for adults, 10 for children under 6 free. If we go and we fill the stands, 2,000 people times 20, that's $40,000. The entries will start to build bank to support our athletes. But
and
you know what?
Sponsors don't want to pay money to show empty seats.
I wasn't reaching to that part, but thanks for bringing that part up, because it have our next part that I wanted to put in. If it have 6 events for the year and we fill the stadium, let's say 4 out of 6 times, let's be modest, that is $240,000 we could look at in additional money to fund our athletes. If we want our athletes to perform, we need to fund them correctly.
Yeah, but if I buy a barbecue ticket, which is twice the price of the entrance fee, then I do my part, right?
Well, that's our next way of looking at it as well. But how many of these athletes, remember, Ricardo, Trinidadians have a thing called pride. And not everybody about that fundraiser life. You gotta remember that, huh? Not everybody's about that fundraiser life. And admittedly, if at the athlete I support live in Toko, you think I driving quite Toko to buy a barbecue ticket?
What I'm saying is, if 2-3 sponsors have places for you to stay when you go up the road.
Yeah, two trees have as much locations as needed in Trinidad and Tobago. This show was not sponsored by any agriculture or horticulture establishment.
Or even bujungs,
Yeah,
engineers
right.
and
No,
fishing boat rentals.
but what we're saying is, and you are right with it, sponsors don't want to show empty stands. So if the TTPFL has a league running every year and the same 30 people in the stands every year, the sponsors eventually going to pull out.
And they'll quicker throw the money behind secondary school football where they could guarantee a couple hundred.
Hey, that coming around again just now.
Yeah.
I heading out to support my alma mater, Presentation College.
Nice hat. I wanna take this thing in the next direction for a couple minutes, because it's also part of something that is very important in the living room. Athletes need support, but people need support. And to segue, there's news of Graham Thorpe, right, an English cricketer who unalived himself last week, right, after struggling with depression and anxiety for years. Right, that was one incident of somebody losing the battle with mental health. He was a professional athlete who was very well supported by his community and still lost that battle. Then there's also a news report that came out sometime last night or this morning of a young man who apparently having a psychiatric history. He appears to have murdered his mother because they had an argument over an internet bill. Right? The reports are that he might not have been properly medicated at the time. However, it also goes to show that there are actual that people have challenges. People have actual challenges, and we don't know how bad something can be until it gets that bad. Right? A lot of people who, upon first finding out about the young man and his mother, about her loss, about the fatality, they were very, very quick to decide how he should be treated. And there were actually people saying that the hope is not a case where they write it off as being a mental illness because he deserved this, that, and the other. Right? I cannot speak as to the state of the young man himself, ethically or psychologically, but I can say that it is a sad event and a reminder to us that we do have a responsibility for our communities. Even on a personal level, there are challenges I have in terms of how much is expected of me regarding the role that I have as a friend or as a partner or as a father figure. How much is expected of me? But I will go on to say that overextending yourself might be the smaller price to pay. It might be the smaller price to pay. I'm not advocating for anybody doing more than they can. But what I am saying is that there are points in time where the loss is something that is irredeemable, that there's no coming back from certain things that happen. And I think for our own mental health, sometimes you want to know that you at least tried to intervene, or that you tried to show up, or you tried to be there. It might even be easier to deal with the feeling of failing as opposed to dealing with the guilt of having not tried. Right.
And can I add to that, Carlo?
I would hope so. You in the field?
Last 2 or 3 weeks, the last time you and I had a conversation of any kind, we were speaking of holding persons accountable to your ethical standards or your moral standards. And sometimes that is what causes a breakdown in communication for you and a person who may be in turmoil. I am not advocating, as you said, to take on more than you can bear, or for you to skew your own standards or your own standing point to stand by somebody. However, if you have a friend that is going through a troublesome period, don't just leave them on the limb because it may not be something that you fully understand. Staying with them on that limb or on that ledge could be the difference between making a irreversible decision and a decision where you can guide them to help. It may cause you some sleepless nights, as it may cause you an extra cup of coffee, or it may cause you to take a extra beer if you do so indulge. But standing with that person on that ledge could either take them off the ledge and guide them to help, or put them in a position where they don't end up on that ledge again.
How do you know? But some people don't know they're on a ledge, you know. And
Right.
it is almost impossible to help somebody who does not want to be helped.
And I'm not going to say that. As I posted to TikTok yesterday, the first thing you need to do is always be self-aware. And self-awareness is a real tough thing. It have no tiptoeing around this. Self-awareness is a very tough thing, because it's not just being aware, it's also holding yourself accountable. And most of us struggle with holding ourselves accountable. So if you're talking to a friend and you realize that person may not be aware of the harm that they are causing themselves or others in a situation, I know sometimes your approach may be difficult in terms of bordering how you're going to gently tell this person, or if you're going to just outright say, "Dan, you're on stupidness." Because, Cardo, you could attest to this. The approach is a huge part of it. How you're approaching the person who may be in turmoil. Some of us have direct communication styles, and some of us have gentler communication styles.
I find you watch my kind of way when you say some of us have direct communication styles, though. I mean,
No, I'm watching the screen. Remember,
Wow.
we're recording these things virtually, so I'm watching the
Wow.
screen. It just so happens that you are on the other side of the screen.
I just-
Anywho,
if you the kind of big stone you throw just now there, two trees could have sponsored you for an Olympic event. But anyway,
hey, shot
actively
put,
listening.
shot
Actively
put or dis-
listening.
shot put or discuss. Big up the
Yeah.
Jamaican gentleman Roger that won the discus with the new Olympic record of 70 meters. Anyhow, but what I'm saying is the way in which you approach someone is totally situational. You will know your friend, you will know your peer, you will know what works best for and with them, and you will also know what you are capable for. What I would advocate for is there are many brochures. You can check out findcareTT.com. They have a list of EAP providers and counseling and psychologists that, should you realize you can't handle a situation, most of the places on that site are free. And if the person is in danger of themselves or harming themselves or anyone, those persons will help. And just a shameless plug here, there's also a company called Peepsel Consultancy Limited that you can contact as well. Just Google them and
Curious though, how do you know the right way to approach somebody who's acting out of character? Because if they're acting out of character, well, then the way that you think might be the best way to approach them might not be, because they're acting out of character.
yeah, that's actually a very good question.
You have a tendency to ask very good questions on our era.
I realize that.
Questionable
that
character.
is- that was too easy. That was too easy. For that
Yeah.
question that you have asked, Ricardo, I don't think I would be properly equipped to answer that. However, we can look at getting a guest in to discuss how do you approach persons who are acting out of character. And to an extent, most times they call it dealing with troubled contacts or calls. So I think that's something we could could explore as an episode.
We might, yeah, because I think we overdue our conversation with Brittany, Cayenne.
Because I could tell you, at work, I would have had to do that training.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the most eye-opening trainings I've ever attended. And then to actually have to implement or utilize what I learned in that training on a real life scenario, trust me guys, it is not for the faint of heart, because while dealing with somebody that is in distress, you have to maintain a level of composure. You have to maintain a level of calm. You have to maintain a level of direction to guide that person, again, not just off the ledge, but to help. Because there are things, admittedly, and we have to accept this as human beings, that we are not equipped to handle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I could watch the age old saying that you could guide a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't no horse groomer. I could tell you where to go to get the horse groomed.
Right.
But you know what? As Ricardo said, it's up to you, the person who is in distress, to listen to that call and carry the horse to the right place to get groomed. Because you don't want to carry the horse by a man that cutting the horse hair with one of them with a kitchen scissors, when the horse hair is in need of a nice grooming with I don't know, I probably use the wrong example there, but I think you'll get where I'm going.
I don't know if you know where you're going. Aaron, I'll give you something, right? The analogy is not exactly your strongest suit. In terms of the principles behind psychology and, understanding social dynamic, you're 100, But your analogy is great. I got to sit you down.
We'll work on that.
We'll work on that. Yeah, no, but you're right. Some people do have more direct styles of communication than others. And believe it or not, you might actually be more effective with a direct style of communication. Because it's not like you're standing on some principle. I do have an illustrative style of communicating, but I have a tone that is very direct. So maybe I need to apply some of your nuance and tact to my illustration.
And that's the thing, communication. Remember, with communication, I'm not going back with this non-verbal and verbal thing, but what I'm going with today is the encoding and decoding of messages.
Gosh, babe.
If I encode a message with a sternness to send to Cardo, I do not like that yellow on your shirt. Notice there's a stern tone. Because now, how Cardo could unpack that message, it could take him back to childhood, where his mom or his dad would have scolded him for wearing yellow for whatever reason. And then Cardo now is going to unpack that. Way boy, watch how this man bring back the traumatic memories of my childhood with what my parents would have told me. And you know what? I go in and lock off Aaron because he just tell me that in that stern. And all I saying is, I don't like that yellow thing.
No, being somebody who has a healthy respect for the illustrative and the subliminal, I am looking at the fact that you are in a fully red jersey, talking about how you don't like the yellow insignia on my shirt. But there was also a blue insignia that you could have referenced. No,
because if I told you about the blue, then it would say that I don't like Barca because Barca thing is red and blue and blah 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 blah.
Well, all I saying is that while Trinidad and Tobago is currently in a state of ketchup and mustard, there's also what looks like ketchup, mustard, and a blue cheese option coming.
Hey, I actually forgot, Cardo. One of the things I should have started with this instead of reaching to this now. But has your PPP ended?
My PPP?
Yeah.
Which one?
The part-time patriotic paradigm.
Oh, I mean, if it ended.
Because
Are you ready to go?
No, we only patriotic when it comes to sporting events and those kinds of things.
But we have sports here and we have cricket going on. So
West Indies actually last 5 days in a test match. Thank you very much, Rain.
I mean, we can take it. And that's probably one of the reasons why we play test matches in the hurricane
rainy season in Trinidad and Guyana.
Right.
Hey, but really and truly, guys, the part-time patriotic paradigm should also extend to a part-time, not just a part-time paternal paradigm as well. Because we all as men have a fatherly instinct that we need to attend to. If we have children or not, we all have a fatherly instinct that we need to attend to in terms of mentoring the younger men.
I will tweak that in complete agreement with the principle, but I want to tweak the vocabulary. Right? We do have a fatherly instinct. We do have a fatherly responsibility, whether we have the instinct or not. Because there are people who look at us as examples, even if we have no desire whatsoever to be one.
Right.
So complete agreement with the principle.
That's a whole other conversation that might take like 5 years to have.
They have these youths out here following who are available as opposed to who intentional or equipped to father figure, mentor, or lead them.
Hey, that leads me to it had anyway. I know
Remember, I tend to put it there's profundity in abundance. There's an abundity of profundity. Abundity is not a real word.
I know that. Yeah, see, you want this making up words thing that you do sometimes. Just like how I need to work, you tell me I need to work on my analogies. You need to work on that. Huh? I don't want to say vocabulary because you have an astute command of your vocabulary. But what I think you need to work on is reducing the need, the proclivity to work to make up these words.
Yeah. I mean, there's a rotundity of my vocabulary that led to an abundity of my profundity.
No man, come back again and the man
I just saying that I've fleshed out vocabulary such that I could add to it. I would like to think so that by now I'm allowed a word or two, Aaron.
You know what? Now thinking about it, because of the vernacular and the jargon which the politicians tend to use in their press releases and their media contacts, I myself start to wonder if they just be making up words, huh? There was something that I saw on the socials over the past weekend. Now, mind you, I tried my best since my vacation started to stay off social media as much as possible. Right? 'Cause I really was in dire need of a break. I needed a break. Right? And when I came back home last week, I was browsing the socials and I saw some clips of Japan's carnival. And it had a lot of our PPP contributors in an uproar about look Japan take we thing and Japan doing what we supposed to be doing, and look there are presentations in the road for the carnival and there are steel pan in the road for carnival and blah 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 blah, nothing we have never heard before. But really and truly, guys, if we do support we own and if we do support we think, other people go pick it up and do it like how we used to do it or how we coulda, woulda and shoulda do it.
Right.
I don't know how much times we will say that here, not just in the living room or on WAC. We sounding like a broken record talking about appreciation of our culture. I say it now and I will continue to say it. If we don't appreciate the things that come from our country, someone else will pick it up this weekend we celebrated World Steel Pan Day with grand concerts both in San Fernando and in Port of Spain. How many of us went out to support World Steel Pan Day, which is the only acoustic instrument invented in the 20th century? I was even privy to see persons post Happy World Noise Day. I ain't gonna call out nobody. But what I'm saying is, the steel pan is not Japan thing. It's not Antigua thing.
Japan though.
Sorry. It's not Japan. No. It's not Japan thing.
No, I mean,
it's not
Japan.
Japan.
You know, they're probably upset that they didn't invent it, you know.
Oh. It's not Antigua thing. It's not America thing. The steel pan is Trinidad thing. But yet still, there's a part of our population which still says is noise.
Right. And not even our noise, you know. Not even our noise.
Just noise.
Right?
They didn't even own any noise.
Right? No, all it churn around out here doing people what they want, and it's still a churn and they love them. But something that is your country own. Anyway.
They're too wicked. They're too wicked.
Speaking of wicked, yes, follow Trini Driver 47.
Yeah, oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I ain't lie to tell you, we had to get somebody from National Security to come and sit down and have a discussion with us in the living room, you know, because
about the tint?
Not just about the tint, right? But I think people no longer falling for the gimmicks of giving away movie tickets and them kind of thing to make them feel that the police care about them.
Oh, like that? Okay.
Yeah, I think the TTPS need to do some intentional PR.
You know what? I saw our police commissioner walking around Tobago, doing a walkabout in Tobago. That was on Monday. Let me see if I could explore some options and see who I know, who know who, to see if I could get our police commissioner here for an interview.
Because Aaron, with the proliferation of personal recording devices now, we don't need to rely on body cams to hold the members of the protective services accountable.
But then again, that leads to the question, if I post something to TikTok, right? Yes, I know TikTok is a public domain, but can that footage that I posted be utilized within a judicial system?
I see absolutely no reason why it should not be. The premise remains that not because it's public information don't mean it's not applicable as evidence. However,
but yet still, are WhatsApp conversations admissible in court?
I guess it would depend on one, the type of WhatsApp conversations not admissible in court in any capacity.
To my last knowledge, I don't think so. I would call my lawyer brethren and ask him.
Well, then what is the point of tapping people's phones? It's just for the information, and you have to wait for them to act on whatever information was transmitted for you to be able to use it.
I mean, see the questions that we are asking here, that we ourselves, as the citizenry, don't have the answers to. And the reason why I posed that WhatsApp one, Cardo, is because I think I remember a case in employment law where the supervisor would be contacting the employee through WhatsApp and they did not accept it as an official means of communication.
No, that's organizational.
Yeah, so that's what I say.
Probably determined in our organizational capacity. But what I'm saying is, that was the point of we monitoring people's devices for information that we can use. Right. So what you're telling me is, if I screenshot threats sent via WhatsApp, they're not applicable as evidence? Nah, man. I ain't taking that loose, wild. So what I would say, right, is that if you think that producing certain evidence in a public capacity could possibly contaminate a jury, I could recognize why they might not want certain things posted. I could understand why within investigative purposes they also wouldn't want to have certain information out, because it could also tip off and ruin the investigation. But I'm not going to try a blanket statement as in to say this not acceptable and that not permissible. And I believe that there will always be some way for you to get something into evidence or thrown out of evidence if you need it.
So that was it. I just posed any questions, huh?
Yeah, I use a pose a long time, you know.
And that Posa and Kenny is brethren, so I had to pick up a role somehow to be Kenny friend.
Well, better the mighty poser than a posy.
A posy. Hey, all you see why I be going through on a weekly basis. All you see why I needed a vacation.
So anyway, I was just waiting for you to say you're not a poser, you know. But you didn't take the bait. Remember this light unflattering. You know, Melini.
Right, but really and truly, guys, just how we started today's conversation talking about we were podiumless at the Olympics. We also need, and we spoke of the fact that we need to render our support to our athletes, not just by buying the barbecue tickets, but by physically showing up at the sporting meets, or giving a donation via a GoFundMe link or whatever it may be. Come Carnival next year, we had to go out to the shows. Go Panorama, go Calypso Fiesta, go to the cultural shows. For the crime situation, if you see something questionable in your area, contact the police. Contact 800 tips. I think that's still a thing.
I have no comment on that. None whatsoever. Because that is a whole show in itself. And I don't want to post anything that's going to stop the TTPS or any members of the national security from engaging us in conversation. Right? But I would advise that we don't wait until next year to go out and support the shows, because on Saturday, the 24th of August at 8 p.m., we have Three Kings and a Queen, featuring Ras Commander Hamidullah Kinte and the Queen Lady Adana, right, at the Pleasantville Community Center. So with our very own Mr. Damian Melville MCing. So I'm just saying that early bird tickets are $150. We don't have to wait until next year. And all in our Ras Commander is
quality.
I mean,
if Lady Adana singing, trust me, all in for a great show. Right? They'd have shows all the time for us to go out and support. And not just for the stalwarts, there's also the young and upcoming talent that does their shows. Joshua Rigolo has his show on the 24th as well. It's called Pui. That I'm not saying anything further because that the rest of the
I got to enter the competition when he was trying to name and brand the program, you know, but I still must stay out of that.
Actually, it's on 25th of August at Kaiser Blues Cafe.
So you could go both?
Yeah, could go both. Pui. No Pui without you and I. An evening of intimate steel pan melodies. It's only $200 and tickets are available on islandetickets.com.
Yeah, I was going to enter the competition and call it Sweet Sauce Atesa Joshua. But I say as a believer and a baptized and thing, let me stay out of the people and them business now.
Yeah, please.
No,
we getting perilously close to the hour 7 p.m. all, yeah? Perilously close to the hour 7 p.m. and perilously close to my wit's end as well. Oh my gosh.
Right. Okay. All right.
I should have taken an extra week, you know? I should have really taken an extra week.
You know you could no way to come back on the People and Them Radio era.
I actually could have.
Anyway, I'm glad you're back and you're back safely, because we don't take life for granted this last rounds. We don't take traveling for granted this last rounds. In the Lord's Year of 2024, planes still disappearing. And
planes just dropping out the sky.
all kind of TV thing going on, right? You realize I watching Virgin in Miami and thing, and I have to be asking them how they making out with this hurricane season more than my friends and family of the islands, you know.
Yeah, that's weird though. Like, but again, climate change is not real.
I mean, it's a hoax, right?
Yeah, it's a hoax, you know.
Fake news. It's fake news, Aaron.
No cap. The icebergs are not melting.
Oh, so literally no caps then.
Basically, yeah.
So what are they there? Ice caps?
No. If the icebergs are not melting, then it would have caps.
Ice caps. The ice caps melting. So no cap.
No, the ice caps not melting. So cap.
Okay. All right. True.
So, yeah.
Hey, big up the New York contingent. Right. I appreciate y'all.
Hey, yeah, remember day one is coming up on the 1st of September. Yeah. Kenny and Desmond going across there to be dotish in the hour.
Hey, don't make joke. What if they need somebody to cover the shift?
We cannot be as dotish as Kenny and Desmond in that hour.
They're full of real practice too.
Yeah, boy. You know what? You know, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, because I know Desmond there already and waiting to switch over. Ideally, remember, Cardo, there's always say experience beats qualifications.
I am staying out of that.
I always wanted to hit Kenny that one. Yeah.
What does that money about, boy? Let me stay out of all the business.
I ain't seen him for almost a month, so Harrell making up to do in terms of. Right, so guys, as I say each and every time, and I remind you that love is the currency, so spend some today. Let somebody know you love them, guys. This is yours truly, DJ Aaron868, and remember, culture is my code.
Yeah, and this is Ricardo Mitchell, the social sage on the global stage. Thank you for joining us in the living room. Guys, there's a little bit of laughter, a little bit to think about. I really do appreciate you all, and the little time that we do spend away from the show occasionally, we just miss it. You know, I just feel as if there's an anchor point to the week that is missing. Aaron, we had to make the people feel good. Right? We had to make the people feel good. Right?
Sorry, my bad. No, honestly, I did.
You can't just come on and play music for the people on a Friday. Right? Which is why we're trying to come in occasionally, you know, and give all the opportunity to turn it back into a calling program. Right? So we'll keep you all posted as to when that's happening.
I did miss y'all. I did really miss y'all.
Right.
Ingrid, your boy won a gold medal again.
Oh yeah, for real. LBJ, right? So now they can say the NBA have the best. Anyway,
they do not.
The world champions.
Don't make me spend the next 5 minutes curling about that.
It don't have 5 minutes, right? Remember, guys.
Don't make me spend it talking up, because I'm real vexed about that. The NBA is not world champions. If you want to come out and give one set of antics before a race, make sure and win, and then don't blame COVID when you lose.
Who the fastest man in the world?
He's not the fastest man in the world, because that title still lives in Jamaica with Usain Bolt. He ain't even in the top 5.
Any man from Tobago is his name? Tobago? Tobago. All right, yeah. I see people change the name of the country or kind of thing to Trinidad and Tobago.
Tobago, yeah. We really like to claim things, but really and truly, he's not in the top 5.
The hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. Right, Mr.
Not
Desmond,
in the top 5.
Mr. Desmond is waiting to play.
He's not in the top 5. He's still slow, but he's fast, but he's still slow. Alright, I'll go on with that one.
The big band is up next.
Yeah, big band next, but he's still slow.
Keep it locked.
Yeah, that too, but he's still slow.
You want to leave, you can't stay here no longer. It's too much a crime committing. Every day is a murder, but where would you go? Everywhere is the same thing. Remember, it's in a global village that we now live in. You feel you could make it in Uncle Sam? Well, ask them people down Ferguson. Anywhere you go, man, destroying man. So why you leaving? I'm not leaving my beautiful island. Trinbago is mine. Trinbago is yours too. Trinbago is all our we. Trinbago is Pilau and Kalalu. Trinbago is mine. Trinbago is yours too. Trinbago is lime in Maracas Bay or the Emperor Valley Zoo. They could clean the treasury dry. Food prices could reach sky high. If we have to fix this country, I say, me ain't leaving to go. No way, I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. I want equal rights and justice for all. So I ain't leaving this land at all. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. Good Lord, I ain't leaving the land at all. Hey Lord, sweet music. Yes man. Tila doi, tila day, la da doi. We criticize each other regularly without recognizing ever that we who destroy TNT is we who vote to put people in power. So if we don't like how they treating we could vote in another. Remember the people is government, not them jacket and ties in the parliament. We have the world's greatest democracy. So I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving my beautiful country. Trinbago is mine. Trinbago is yours too. Trinbago is lining up for playway. I pick 4, I pick 2. Trinbago is mine. Trinbago is yours too. Trinbago is licking down our doubles or some curry cascade. So who wants to go lead fast? I stay to play me mass. Look mister, just move your foot, let me pass. Give me room, let me shake me ass. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. Free education I get since I'm small. So I ain't leaving this land at all. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. Good Lord. So I ain't leaving my land at all. Give me brass. Nice music. I ain't leaving my land at all. Garfield, you're nice. Sweet music. Nice music. People just come to we land from all over. And when they leaving, sure to say we are the friendliest ever. Say what you want. There is something I believe. Together if we aspire, one day together we would achieve. All over the world people want to know what is we secret here in Trinbago. So much different races, creed and color. I just tell them the men slip like oil, but the women sweeter than sugar. Trinbago is mine. Trinbago is yours too. Trinbago is paranging for Christmas. You buy me and I buy you. Trinbago is mine. Trinbago is yours too. Trinbago is treating visitors here like someone we always knew. We ancestors till the soil, plant the cane and drill the oil. Is we have a pitch leg down in Labre. So me ain't leaving to go, no way. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. I walk each on win our next gold medal. So I ain't leaving my land at all. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. Good Lord, I'm not leaving my land at all. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. Good Lord, I not leaving me land at all. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. Oh Lord, I not leaving me land at all. I ain't leaving.